Hello and welcome back to Veteran for God Ministry. I hope that y'all are doing well. I want to take a moment to apologize that I haven't been able to upload any videos here recently. Time hasn't kind of been on my side, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to change here in the future. But here in the next few days, I'm going to be uploading a couple of videos that'll be part of a mini series. And this particular video is going to be discussing on the topic of what those videos are going to be on. The topic is the minimal facts approach to the resurrection of Jesus. This method was developed by the New Testament scholar Gary Habermas. The minimal facts to the resurrection are facts that are accepted by virtually all scholars who research this area, regardless of the many differences in their thoughts. So, no matter if it's a Christian scholar or non-Christian scholar who studies the New Testament, they all accept that these facts are considered facts for the resurrection of Jesus. Gary Habermas stated that for an occurrence to be designated as a minimal fact, there are two major events that have to happen. Each event had to be established by more than adequate scholarly evidence and usually by several critical, ascertained, independent lines of argumentation. Additionally, the vast majority of contemporary scholars in relevant fields have to acknowledge the historicity of the occurrence. So what that means is that they've accepted it as being historical, and that's what are making these facts part of this method. Now, there are 12 minimal facts. The first one is Jesus died by Roman crucifixion. He was buried, most likely in a private tomb. Soon afterward, the disciples were discouraged, bereaved, and despondent, having lost hope. Jesus' tomb was found empty very soon after his interment. The disciples had experiences that they believed were actual appearances of the risen Jesus. Due to these experiences, disciples' lives were thoroughly transformed, even being willing to die for this belief. The proclamation of the resurrection took place very early at the beginning of church history. The disciples' public testimony and preaching of the resurrection took place in the city of Jerusalem, where Jesus had been crucified and buried shortly before. The gospel message centered on the death and resurrection of Jesus. Sunday was the primary day for gathering and worshiping. James, the brother of Jesus and a former skeptic, was converted when he believed he saw the risen Jesus. And just a few years later, Saul of Tarsus, also known as Paul, became a Christian believer due to an experience that he believed was an appearance of the risen Jesus. Now, for this series, I'm going to be only discussing on 4 of them. Those 4 include Jesus died by Roman crucifixion. The disciples had experiences that they believed were actual appearances of the risen Jesus. James, the brother of Jesus and a former skeptic, was converted when he believed he saw the risen Jesus. And of course, Paul, who became Saul of Tarsus, who was the persecutor of the church, became Paul when he believed that he saw the risen Jesus. Now, during these, when I discuss in each video on 1 or 2 of the minimal facts that I presented, I'm going to be discussing also too on naturalistic theories and how they disprove it. The 2 naturalistic theories I'm going to be disproving is the hallucination theory and the swoon theory. The hallucination theory. Hallucinations are a sensory perception such as a visual image or a sound that occurs in the absence of an actual external stimulus and usually arises from neurological disturbances, such as that associated with delirium tremens, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that word, Parkinson's disease, and narcolepsy, or in response to drugs such as LSD, and again, I can't pronounce that word, but I hope that you can. The hallucination theory is the idea that argues that the post-resurrection appearances of Jesus were not literal appearances, but were instead hallucination experiences by his followers. You may have also heard that the Jedi Jesus, as from Star Wars, you see At the very end of the last Jedi movie, the older ones, when Luke Skywalker seen, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, Yoda, and all them. This is kind of what they think that the disciples saw when they saw Jesus. It wasn't a physical blood, skin, and bone risen Jesus, but just merely just a hallucination. Next is the swoon theory. The swoon theory states that Jesus did not actually die during the crucifixion, but fell unconscious on the cross and was presumed dead. And after being placed in his tomb, he gained his consciousness and recovered from his injuries and found a way to escape the tomb. Now, when it comes to other theories, there's theories such as Luke the physician gave something to Jesus right before he got crucified to make it seem like he died. If you kind of heard that, think of Romeo and Juliet. That's kind of where they got that from. And another one is that Joseph of Arimathea, as we all know, that each gospel account mentions him and that he buried him. They believe that, that he helped Jesus out of the tomb. There's, speculations on all that. But again, the four facts I'm going to be discussing about is going to disprove both the hallucination theory and the swoon theory. Now, where I got the 12 that you can also go to is The Risen Jesus and Future Hope, which is by Gary Habermas. If this is a topic or something that you are interested in, I would definitely recommend going and reading some of Gary Habermas's books, or really any other kind of book that really kind of focuses on the resurrection of Jesus, or just watch a video where Gary Habermas discusses on this. There's several on YouTube. I've watched several of them. He goes in more great detail than I will. But if this is, again, something that you want to get more in depth with, I would definitely recommend that. Again, I'm going to be posting more videos for this series coming up in the next few days. And I hope this is something that you enjoy, and I hope this is something that you can gain knowledge from and be able to use in your daily life. Again, thank you.